Got the oil pan all cleaned up. What a hassle, dude. What a hassle. So I just took this over to my trash can, scraped all the big stuff off that I could with a scraper, and then just dipped a rag in the gasoline and just wiped this whole thing down. Had some gloves on, obviously, and I sliced my finger open. But other than that, it was pretty easy. Okay, so the old gasket was stuck on real good and nice. So to get it off, I'm sure this is the original gasket from 1997. So I got myself a propane torch, just went around and got all the old gasket off. So heated up on this side. I got my scraper, which is right there. Just scraped along the sides, and I just felt right here there's some left. So I'll actually heat that up with the propane torch and then scrape it off. Because once you heat it up, it makes it a lot easier to work with. Get it off. So just take your time in doing that. Just brought in the new gasket, just to make sure everything lines up and fits correctly, and it does. Excited to see how this works. So let me continue to clean this up. Any other spots that have gasket remaining. Well, let me show you this. So to get access to all the bolts, had to remove this cover. I didn't really show it in the last video. Had to remove this cover. 2 12mm bolts hold this thing on, or 3 possibly. I can't remember. You have one here, here, and here, and you have to get this off. It covers the gear shift selector, I believe, or gear shift cable. And once you have that off, there's 3 bolts in this cover. One's right there, another one right there, and one right there. So you have to get this gear shift cable cover off, and then you can get to all these bolts here. So I have these out so I can clean it up and get all this muck and grime off. Let me see if I can do this one hand. I'll show you. So you just get that right there. I'll heat up my propane torch. Just heat it up. Get it nice and smoky. Can't do this with two. Can't do this while holding the camera as well, but you get the point. Heat it up and scrape it off. We are back underneath the Honda Accord. The oil pan is all cleaned up on the inside and the outside. Now, what I want to show you here underneath is the fact that right here on this side, this is actually the passenger side, right here and right here is where the silicone is actually going to go on the new oil pan gasket. So there's a little bit of RTV left over. Honda actually put RTV on from the factory, so I'm going to scrape this off. You don't want to, this is aluminum, so you don't want to really gouge it. I'm just trying to get that black tar off, which I am. Like I said, I don't want to gouge it. I don't want to, hurt it in any way. Just cleaning the surface for the new form-in-place gasket from Toyota to stay in place. And after I do this, I will actually go around with a rag and some brake cleaner and clean the whole mating surface. So that's all I'm doing. So we'll do these 2 corners, this one, and then go over here and do, where is it? Right over here and right over on this side as well. But it doesn't look bad really at all. Just take your time. Obviously, when you're down here below the car, make sure you wear safety glasses because you don't want to get any of this junk in your eyeballs. Oh yeah, right here, so you can see it right there. You got some right here as well. Yeah, just take your time, clean this up. You want to do this before you put on the new oil pan gasket with the new FIPG. Alright, took off the oil pickup tube, oil strainer, 4 bolts, 4 10mm bolts hold this thing on. Not hard at all. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looked at the screen on the inside. It looks good. I don't see any real, residue or anything that was in there. Metal shavings, metal parts, fragments, pieces of my ex-girlfriend, whatever the case may be. So pretty happy about that. There is a gasket right here where it's connected to the engine. Got the gasket here. The Honda part number is 15221-P5K-004 for those of you who cannot read. This little sucker's hard to find, so what I'm going to do for you guys, once I open this up, I'll actually scan this in my scanner. I'll make a PDF and then put a link down below. Actually, check out, under all my videos, I put links to other videos and products and chemicals and tools that I recommend. But I'll scan this, and then if you guys can't find this part, just download the scan and get some, gasket material. I'll put a link to that as well, where you can pick that up on Amazon. And just print this out, and then you can take this to the gasket material and cut out your own gasket. So I'll make it easy for you guys, so you guys don't have to hunt down this dumb part. But I'll get all this remaining old gasket off, and I'll put it back up in there, and then put on the oil pan. All right, one thing I did to the oil pan that I think all manufacturers should do is I glued a magnet down in there to pick up any metal. So that's one thing I did. This thing was nasty. I had to spend a couple hours cleaning this thing up. You can see in the other previous videos how coated in oil and sand and Palm Springs sand at that. But it's looking better now. So right here where the timing belt cover, well, there's two halves to this engine block. Actually, there's two halves. There's one over here. There's one over here. There's a little line when you guys get down here and start cleaning up. You're going to see the line where the two parts come together. So I'm going to put some Toyota Foreman Place gasket sealer in the four corners. You'll see when I do it here real quick. There's one here, one here, one over here on the driver's side, and right here, passenger side, I mean. Like a pea size. And right here. Last corner right here. This is the last corner. Right there. Okay. So put it here on this side. Put it on this side over here. Applied the Foreman Place gasket on this side and applied it over here on that side. I'll bring in my gasket and then we'll do it on top there as well. Make sure everything's good to go. Now I'll repeat it. So you put it on the bottom, you actually put it on the oil pan, then you put the gasket on, and I'll put the Foreman Place gasket right on top where I put the first layer. All right, everything's ready to rock and roll. Got my screws and my bolts. Gonna put the passenger side on first, and then come back down. Okay, so one quick easy move and got it up. Just double checking everything. Get a bolt started. So I'm getting a bolt started. You don't want to tighten you don't want to tighten one bolt down. You want to get all your bolts started by hand and your nuts, and then come back around and we'll tighten everything up. The torque spec on this is 7 foot-pounds, but I'm just going to put it at 10 because I don't have a torque wrench that goes to 7 foot-pounds. But yeah, lined up nice and easily. Just take your time. Okay, so just go around, we'll start everything by hand, and then we'll tighten it down like I said. Stick around for part 3. I got the head ordered. It's at the machine shop right now, getting taken care of. Pick that up next week. Got the alternator and the power steering pump out of the way. Before I did that, I took the battery out so I wouldn't have any sparks when I took the alternator out, because there's a direct connection from the battery to the starter or to the alternator. So let's see, gonna get the distributor out, gonna get all the wiring down there, gonna get the upper and lower radiator hose out of the way. I'm gonna sneak out the head without removing any of the intake. I'll show you that in part 3, and then I don't have to worry about the belt or any of that right now. It's already obviously broken, so I should be able to just get the head bolts out, pop the head off. So it's not a whole lot to it, guys. So stick around. I'll put a link to part 3 when it's up.